Second day in Mtskheta, and I've just made a kind of impromptu decision to go for quite a big walk actually, to a monastery on the hill, which should be about 10k away from me by now. It's an overcast day, no rain is predicted, a little bit cooler, so it's a perfect day for a walk. So let's see how I go. Maybe it's 9k, I hope. See ya. Well, almost 6k's to go to the monastery, and countryside is spectacular. Again, the clouds have stayed low, and I'm happy about that. Not too hot and not too sunny. Yeah. Lovely wild blackberries. They are succulent, delicious, full of vitamin C. Just so many of them are out here. More down here. Yum. So I'm at the monastery and nunnery of St Olga, which is about 4k's out of town. A wee bit of a walk uphill, and it's a really small little place, as you can see. Lovely gardens, and still here in the city. So when I arrived, I walked into the monastery, and there was a nun who was standing behind a lectern with what I gather was a Bible, and it was open, and in a very quiet spoken voice she was reading the Bible, and the pace was so fast it was almost hypnotic. So I just stood there and just soaked in the atmosphere, really, and it was quite a lovely experience. But as with all monasteries, there is always a little bit of a story, and I've got to tell this story because it's an interesting one. So here goes. So if we go back not to biblical times but to the early 20th century, when the rail link from Batumi, the Black Sea, to the capital city, Tbilisi, was being, I guess, close to finishing, and there was an engineer that was in this area, and a really skilled engineer apparently, and for his work that he'd done thus far, the government gave him a small plot of land on a hill. Probably seemed like worthless land, but it was a gift, and whilst he was working at the weekends, he'd come up and he discovered a dome, and there was the ruins of a very old monastery, obviously in disrepair. So that was quite a discovery. But as they were blasting through the tunnel, or cutting through the last tunnel, they were planning a little bit of a celebration when one end met the other end, and there would be light going through the tunnel. And they kept digging, and the expected time that the two ends would meet, it didn't occur. And so this engineer, distraught by what he thought was an absolute inaccuracy with his calculations, there was a crowd there waiting for the final sort of knocking through the wall of the tunnel. He just snuck off, grabbed a gun and shot himself. Unfortunately, 15 minutes later, the two ends of the tunnel met, and it was slowed down a little bit because there was a little bit more hard rock than was expected. So that's kind of the story. His wife obviously was distraught, and so on the land that he was given, she wanted to create a nunnery, and it's in her name, the nunnery of, or the monastery of Olga, which also has a nunnery. That's the story. So sometimes they're quite tragic, but interesting nevertheless. Okay, your story for the day.